Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's video we are going to make this beautiful design you are seeing on your screen. It's two-piece skirt and blouse, and it's designed with African print. Okay, so I'll be using this fabric on my table to cut the design. If you are just seeing my video, please watch, like, share and subscribe. All right, okay, I'll proceed by cutting the down part, that is the skirt pattern. So after folding the fabric, looking at the skirt, you will notice that the skirt is a long skirt, but the skirt stops at your knee, above your knee length. Then the remaining of the skirt is a stripe. You understand? It's a busy stripe of the skirt. So as I folded my fabric, I'm going to be cutting the length from my waist to above my knee measurement. Okay, so you measure your knee to know where your own is going to stop. All right. So from my waist to my knee measurement is 18 inches. I don't want the skirt to be long. I don't want it to be too short either. You understand? This is my starting line. So after marking out my starting line, then I'm going to mark, from that starting line, I'm going to mark my waist down to the above knee, which is 18 inches. Then I'm going to add 1 inch. That 1 inch is going to serve as the half inch I'm going to use on the upper part, and the half inch I'm going to use on the down part. Then looking at the skirt, you will see that it has band. So we are going to minus 1.5 inch for the waistband. So I'm taking out 1.5 inch. Then from there I'm going to mark the 19 inches or 20 inches, depending how long you want it to be. You understand? So after that, the next thing I'm going to mark is from the waist to my hip line, which is 9.5 inch. It is 9 inches. Then I added half inch. That half inch is the one that I'm going to take out while joining the waistband. You understand? So remember marking your hip line. Please remember to take out the 1.5 inch. So after that, I'm going to divide my waist measurement by 4, which is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. Then I'll be adding extra 1.5 inch. Then my hip measurement is 48 divided by 4. That's going to give me 12 plus 1.5. That will give me 13.5. Then on my knee line, since I have 13.5 on the hip, I'm going to minus 1 inch from it, and I'm going to mark 12.5. Then if you want it to be more pencil, you can minus 1.5. You understand? Okay, so after marking that, all I have to do now is to what is it? So after connecting the line, guys, I'm going to cut it out. Please, after cutting out the front body, try to launch the upper part so that you will differentiate the waist and the down part, because at times it might be confusing. Okay, so after this, I'm going to place it this way. Then on this angle, mark 2 inches. I'll mark it all down. I hope my cutting is visible on the screen. So after marking the 2 inches, I'm going to place this front body from that 2 inches that I mark, as you can see. Then I'm going to dot out the waistline. Then I'm also going to mark the hip line. This is the hip line, and this is the down part. So what I'm going to do now, on the waistline, I'm going to come in from here by 1 inch. Then on the down part, I'm also going to come in by 1 inch. So I will use my French curve and connect it down to the hip line. So I am not taking out anything on the hip line. I'm only taking out 1 inch on the waist, 1 inch on the down part. So I'm going to connect it. So after connecting it this way, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut everything out. I am done. This one, if you look very well here, you see I have 2 inches on the hip. Now 1 inch on the waist and 1 inch on the down part. So if I'm attaching my zipper, I'm going to take 1 inch, this 1 inch that I have on the waist. I'm also going to use 1 inch on the hip area and this 1 inch on the waist. So the remaining 1 inch on the hip area is hip contour. It will help your hip to relax very well. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It will help your hip to relax very well on the skirt. So the skirt will not flat your hip if you put it on. So moving on, I'm going to cut this out. And please always remember to notch to differentiate your waist and the down part. So I'm going to keep this one aside. Let's work on the upper part. This design, I'm using 3 years to make this design. So after that, I will determine how long, the length of the blouse, because looking at the picture that I just showed, you will realize that it's cropped up. This is cropped up and a long skirt. You understand? This is cropped up. So you will determine how open you want your stomach to be. You understand? My half length is 17 inches. But I don't want mine to go up that much. You understand? So I'm going to be cutting this up with 19 inches. So you have to know the length which you want for your top. Length. So I'm going to mark out my starting line. So from my starting line, I'm going to mark the length of my crop top, so which I'm using 19 inches. Then I'll be adding extra 1 inch. With that extra 1 inch, I'm going to use half inch to join the shoulder, and I'm going to use half inch to turn up the lining because I'm using lining on this dress. So I'm marking 20 inches right now. So after marking the 20 inches, the next thing is to divide my shoulder measurements by 2 and mark it, which is, my shoulder is 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5. Then from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark my armhole line, which serves as the bust line. You understand? So I'll bring down my shoulder line here, which is 7.5, and I'm going to connect it with a straight hand. After that, I'm going to determine the neck I want on my design. So I'm going to do the wideness 3 inches and the depth 4 inches because I don't want the neck to hook me. I don't want it to be tight. I want it to go a bit down, or 4.5 inches. So I'm going to connect the neck line. So after that, I'm going to come down from shoulder to 1 inch. That will serve as my shoulder slope. Then after that, I'm going to divide what I have from this shoulder slope down to the bust line into 2 and mark the midpoint. Then from that midpoint, I'm going to come inward by half inch. You understand? So this is where I'm going to connect my armhole from this point to this point down to the bust line. So on this part, I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4, which is 11.5. Then I'll be adding 1.5 inches for joining allowance, which will make it 13 inches. So I'll be connecting my armhole from here to here. It's because of camera. If not, I love freehand. I like to do most of my covering with freehand. So after covering my armhole, the next thing I'm going to do is to divide my waist measurement by 4. My waist measurement is 42.